Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Winning Edge talk show. And today I'm in conversation with a uh, expert in tennis, a former coach and a former tennis player himself. And we are going to discuss on the recently concluded French Open. The French Open got over just yesterday, and it was a scintillating tournament with a wonderful tennis being played. The highlight was that Novak Djokovic was able to conquer the king of clay, Rafa Nadal, who had already won 13 French Open titles. And in this tournament, Novak Djokovic bet him and entered the finals. And now let's continue with this discussion. And today I have with me Mr. Raghuveer Panaswamy. Welcome to the talk show, Mr. Raghuveer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Vishwanath. How are you?
It's a pleasure having you. I'm doing great. Okay. Let me introduce you, Mr. Raghuveer, to the participants. Mr. Raghuveer Panaswamy was a former tennis player. Then he went on to become India number 3. And this was during the mid 80s. Then at that time, he shifted his base to the United States and then started participating in the tournaments over there. He was practicing and taking part in professional tournaments. He took part in the it's called as the I-15, if I am right, the European circuit. Then after playing professional tennis, he went on to join Nick Bollettieri Cricket Academy, and I beg your pardon, Tennis Academy, and he served there for 20 years as an assistant coach, and he has played with the likes of Andre Agassi, Monica Seles, then many such Vitas, Brad Gilbert, and such players. And after a stint of 20 years, he has come back to India, and he is now running his own tennis academy, the Raghuveer Tennis Academy at Mysore in Karnataka. Nice to have you, Mr. Raghuveer. Okay, now coming to you, the French Open 2021 concluded yesterday. It was a highly successful tournament, and we were entertained to some wonderful tennis. The best part of this tournament was the spectators were allowed to return to the stands. So any tournament to be successful, the spectators need to be there. They need to cheer the players, and that's when the tournament becomes successful. Now, what have you got to say about the recently concluded French Open tournament?
Thank you for having me, Mr. Vishwanath.
Welcome.
And from a coach's point, it was like a heartbreaking tournament.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, it was like a heartbreaking tournament for a coach to see this. Okay. As you know.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
As you know, Tsitsipas won the first set, and then he cruised on to win the second set, and then he kind of trickled down. It was really a tough match to see for all the spectators, everyone behind him, for him to start to go down from there.
Okay, what do you say about the overall tournament that happened, the French Open? The spectators, we came back to the stands, and what do you say about the overall tournament that took place?
No, actually what happened was there were many players withdrew from the tournament, and tournament kind of became just a little bit weak. But however, it's a very good opportunity for the upcoming players. You know, some of the players withdrew, and then it's really good. And then like these are professionals, they don't wait for people to watch them, they can perform anywhere they want, So it's really these professionals, they're ready to perform.
Okay, thank you. What I meant was, because of the pandemic in the previous tournaments, the spectators were not allowed into the stands. This time, since the number of COVID cases reduced and countries have taken this decision, they opened the stands to the spectators. And now that the spectators have come back, there was a lot of thrill. And, what is a contest without the spectators around? So I was referring to that.
Yeah, I know. This is only for us, people who are watching. For professionals,
Yes.
they're out there for the trophy.
Yes.
They're not going to worry about who's around them.
I know.
They're out there to perform. But from a match viewing point, it was really good. They allowed, like, I think the 50% of the stadium to be filled, and it was really good. Of course, the players like spectators. So it was overall it was good.
Fantastic. What do you think about the highlights of the tournament? What were the standout performances?
As you saw yesterday, the standout performance by Novak Djokovic, it was just superb. How, like, it felt like he already had the trophy. But if Tsitsipas wants to win this trophy, come and get me. You have to outbeat me. You have to out rally me. You have to outplay my mental game. Then you can take this trophy. But he almost came close. After winning the first set and the second set, he almost came close. Something must have happened physically. And, as you see, mentally also he became a little bit weak. Immediately, Novak took advantage of it.
Okay, we'll come to that as we go along. So you mean to say the yesterday's final was a standout performance, and the other one, the match that will be in everybody's memory. No, Rafa Nadal has always been known to be the king of clay, and he has won 13 French Open titles. What a record it is! A phenomenal record, and people thought that he could never be beaten on a final at French Open, and but that happened day before yesterday on Saturday. Yes, when Novak beat Rafa. And what do you say about that match?
No, see, in that level, between Novak, Roger Federer, and Rafael, Rafael spins a lot and the ball falls way short, and these guys take advantage of it. No matter how strong you are, how fit you are, how fast you are, no matter. But Novak has that upright swing, and then he kind of hits a ball square, and it with more accuracy. Rafa kind of spins the ball, and then the ball falls short, and then that's where he gets into trouble.
Okay, but what do you say about the overall match? It was it was a shocking thing to have Rafa to have lost at the French Open, because he's already won 13 times. People were saying that the French Open has to be renamed as Rafa Nadal Open. So that is the kind of standard he has set. Nobody ever thought that he could be beaten if he reaches the French Open. French Open, but that
You
happened the
know,
other day. What do you
yeah.
say about the entire contest when Novak Djokovic was able to come out, come out of himself and overcome this opponent?
Yeah, I know. I think Novak is little more mentally tough,
Yes.
and then his stroke production is
Okay.
super.
We'll come
Yeah,
to the technical aspects as we go along. But I was talking about the overall contest. It was a wonderful contest, and that was the highlight of the tournament, according to me. And one more thing I would like to remind you and the our listeners and our viewers is that in the women's section singles, the last four, or I mean the top four who reached the uh, top four stage, the players, none of them had made to that stage earlier. This is the first time any one of them had made to the quarterfinal stage of a Grand Slam. That was another highlight of this tournament. None of those top women players had made to the last four, and the players last four who reached, they were the first time they were at that stage. So that was another point. So thank you, Mr. Raghuveer.
Yeah.
Okay, now Roger Federer he made a staged comeback after undergoing an operation, but he did well to reach the third round. And in that match, he was extended to, I think, for a four setter, and I think that was enough for him. And suddenly he withdrew from the tournament. What have you got to say about that?
No, Roger Federer is Roger Federer.
Okay.
He's coming back from the knee surgery, So he knew that Bennett, it's going to be a long match. It's a tough match.
Mm.
Also, he's thinking ahead, like Wimbledon and stuff. So just to baby the feet, baby his knee, I think he kind of gave in there.
Okay. Great. But was it right, that he withdrew from the tournament? Was it the right decision he took? Should he have continued, because having given his entry and having made himself available for the tournament, was it? Why did he withdraw?
No, definitely his intention was not that.
Mm.
His intention was to finish the tournament.
Mm.
But I think after the surgery, I think he kind of he knew the knee is becoming weak, and then there's a tough match ahead of him. So he kind of wanted to give rest and then come back for the Wimbledon tournament. Yeah.
What I understood, he didn't want to take any more risks, so that he was eyeing for the Wimbledon, because on clay the ball keeps coming back at you, but in Wimbledon the point finishes much earlier than the
You're
clay.
right.
So and the younger players, with stronger legs, make this elderly tennis player to run around. So that exposes him to the risk of injury recurrence, and so he is eyeing for the Wimbledon, and
Correct.
he comes back and entertains
Correct.
us again. Okay,
Yeah.
now Novak Djokovic conquered the 13-time French Open winner Rafa Nadal. Then he survived a 5-set scare from Stefanos Tsitsipas. What makes Novak Djokovic an invincible player? Especially in this tournament, he looked definitely invincible. The sure shot winner of the tournament. There were all the signs that he would go on to win this tournament. So, what made him so good in this particular tournament?
I think he was almost like thought Tsitsipas is playing very well. I will do my best, and then he goes on to the court, and then his strokes and his body language was not that kind of in a situation, so that's why he kind of lost the first set, and then badly in the second set. Then the third set, he kind of started going for the shots. He started to increase the speed on the shots, and then he saw the Tsitsipas making mistakes on the hard shots. So that's a chance he took. And then he was hitting very square, and then his mistake was very, very little. I think that's what made him change the mind and then stay in that speed only, pace only. Yeah.
He's an iconic player, one of the greats of tennis history. And what made him so special, especially in this tournament? So it was all quite evident for all of us, the kind of tennis he produced, and he looked so dominant on the court. And what made him so special, especially in this tournament? Because due to the pandemic, so many tournaments have been postponed, but they have been participating in almost all the tournaments wherever they are allowed, and then living in the bubble, living under lockdown restrictions is very hard. In spite of that, Djokovic has come back as even a better player than what he was. So that was quite evident in this tournament. What did you notice? So something that was so special in him in this tournament.
No, as you know, Novak has got already like 10 years of experience. Yeah, he's mentally strong, physically tough, and he reaches every ball. So he's waiting for he knows how to handle upcoming players. He knows how to wait. He knows how to hit the ball square and wait. That's what made him win yesterday. Yeah.
And there is another factor I noticed. These three top the grades were all pitched in one quarter, one half. So they were the moment the draws were announced, people were saying so the semi-final is most likely to be between two grades. And now that uh, Federer had withdrawn, and he, as he progressed, all that he had to take care of was Rafa Nadal. And if he did, he will definitely be in the finals. So the chances of him winning this French Open for the second time in his life was greater than ever. So yeah, as you already told, he's a great player, and he has such wonderful qualities, mentally as well as physically. So definitely, there was no stopping him as far as this tournament was concerned. Okay, see, Rafa is so strong on clay, especially in the French Open. And how was Joko able to conquer him at his den? We say the den lion was conquered in its den. How was Joko able to do that?
No, like I said, when it comes down to stroke production, the ball sits perfectly for Novak. When Rafa hits a ball, it's so much spin and it is so short, and Novak really hits that ball hard, and that's what made him. If the ball trajects low and deep, then definitely Novak would go into trouble, like Roger Federer does.
Okay, but you're all great coaches. You have played at the highest level, and you always look at it technically. From a layman's point of view, as a tennis
Correct.
fan, as a sports lover, I was treated to some wonderful tennis. It was unbelievable. Both of them producing perfect tennis and such perfection, I must say. Every ball landing inside the court, very less unforced errors, and it was very difficult to say who will get the better of the other. And it was a standout performance. One of the as Novak Djokovic said that he would rate that match as one of the top three matches of his career, and the best he says in on at Roland Garros. So that was the kind of tennis they produced out of the world. And I think Schwarzman has come out and said that I wonder if these two play the same game we play. So that was the comment he has made. The person who reached the quarterfinals, that's the comment he has made. So it was somewhere out of the world, of some kind of a different planet. That was the kind of tennis we saw, and we were treated to such wonderful tennis. Okay, now you were talking about some the technical aspects that happened in the finals. Now,
Now,
that
Vishwanath,
yes,
be,
please go ahead. Go
be,
ahead.
before you do that, I want to ask you one question. These top players, like top 10 players or top 5 players, or like these guys, how do they mentally get tough to be in that situation, like to come to that level?
Mental toughness, yeah, it's a very very important factor when you talk about the mental aspects of the game, because the mind is at the highest level. It is only the mind that counts, that separates the best from the rest. That's what he say. So now both Djokovic and now Rafa Nadal have come out with some quotes. They have said that you can't make out when you see the practice quotes, with top players, with players in action. You can't make out the difference between world number 1, 2, 5, or 100, because they're all well built, very strong, they're hitting the ball very well. But it is in a competition under pressure, how they hit the ball is what counts. What they were referring to is it is a competition that separates the best from the rest. It is a competition that brings out the best, and it's in the competition that the great pressure players thrive under pressure. It's pressure that they are able to handle. So mentally, as you said, mentally these players are the top 10 players are very tough, especially that the best three, or whom we call Federer, Rafa, and Joko. They are really mentally tough, and they have been there many times. They know what it means.
Correct.
They have been at that situations. They've been there many, many, many times. They have lived under pressure. They have thrived under pressure. What nail biting pressure. So hard it is uh, to be at that situation. And it is because of that experience. They know what to do in those situations. That's what brings them the best is the passion. And it's the, now it's for them, it's not about just about winning titles and making money and the fame. It's about getting the better of the other player
Yeah.
to better themselves. Now they are their own competitors. Now they are setting their own benchmarks. They are on their they go on to now 20 Grand Slams is what Rafa and Federer have achieved. They want to do more. They want to end up as the highest. Now Joko is chasing them with 19 Grand Slam. Yesterday he won his 19th. So it is just finishing as the best, best in business, to be called as the best. This is what they are aiming for. And they're raising their standards as they go along. They want to improve. And there was a time when people used to say Roger Federer he didn't have a very good backhand. Then he went on to improve his backhand in such a way that his single-handed backhand was such a deadly weapon for him as he progressed. So they don't leave any stone unturned. They get better of themselves. So they are mentally tough, and they develop that mental toughness as they go along. And these mental strategies is what they would have worked upon as they grew in their careers. And they were honing their mental skills, and the tournament, the atmosphere, the experiences groomed them as they know now what to do at the highest level. And even for the other players to come to that level, yes, they will also have those qualities. Otherwise, you can't so easily be there, because as we already mentioned that at the highest level, they're all equal as far as the physique and skills are concerned. And it is the mind that matters at the highest level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my other question is, in the beginning of the, I don't know whether you noticed, I don't know whether you started, you watched the match from the beginning. Tsitsipas, you could see he was kind of happy, and he was happy to be there, and he was not nervous. And I think psychologically he was strong. And then as the match goes on, even after the second set, after the first set, second set, I think he had like an iota of doubt in his mind. So you think that psychologically he became little bit weak?
Yeah, that's what I could see. Because even though he didn't show off, I thought, as I agree with you when you said he had a little doubt in his mind, and this doubt was created by his great opponent. Okay, now when I heard the commentators say that in the past 7 or 8 months, Stefanos Tsitsipas has become very mentally strong, and he's now more patient. He's not hurrying to finish his points. So even he has worked a great deal on his fitness. So now there is his style of play, his kind of play, his own style that has taken him to this level. And at this level, maybe that is the only kind of play that he was dependent upon. He was producing it again and again, not to go too much for aggression, keep the ball in play, and force the opponent to make the mistakes. It was working for him. Even against Zverev, he won the first 2 sets, and it worked for him. And where in the first 2 sets, Zverev was making a lot of unforced errors. And when in the third set onwards, Zverev started attacking him. He started playing aggressive tennis. And for him, in those 2 sets, which Tsitsipas lost, he seemed a bit lost, Then somehow he was able to get back. He remained mentally calm. He didn't lose his cool. He didn't become nervous. He kept it. He kept at it, fought back, and he was able to win the final set. So this is what even Djokovic did. He attacked him in the third set onwards. That's how the match turned on its heels. So it became 2-all. And but I must compliment Tsitsipas also for giving Djoko a good fight. We could see that he was very calm from the body language, and He didn't lose his cool too quickly. He didn't show off in the body language that he was weak, and he was looking very composed. Then he was able to extend the match to the fifth set. That's what I could see from his game. But when Joko changed the game from the third set onwards, he started creating angles. He started hitting the ball deep into the corners, then started making a lot of drop shots, this slice and that whatever you call it. Then he tricked Tsitsipas into different situations because he knows how to tame the upcoming players, as you said. Then to which Tsitsipas didn't have a ready answer. But somehow he could make up with his ball control and consistency, and he could able to extend the game to the final set.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also, these three guys, Roger, Novak, and Rafa, of course, they're mentally tough and, physically equally tough. Yeah, Tsitsipas and Alexander, they are in over the period of time, like 3, 4 years, they'll also become mentally tough and uh, physically, very tough also, right? As they play the tournament.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, was that your question, sir?
yeah.
Ah,
Like that mental toughness will become like do they have to work on it, or do they have to learn, or that it will become automatically over 3, 4 years as you
yes.
play.
No, even with the other players, you should just simply look at the top 10 seeds in the world. They are all mentally tough because without that, they won't have reached there. It's already there with them. Now, it is important for them to learn how to mentally stay strong in those situations because now they have not been in those situations earlier because even though they have the game, the changing match situations, the scores that keeps fluctuating, and their desperation to win their first grand slam, and the disappointment if they see. That's what happened to Tsitsipas. Two up and then it suddenly becomes two all. Now he's disappointed. Now maybe those thoughts are working in the,
Correct.
and
Yeah,
without him
correct.
knowing, suddenly
Yeah,
there might be that little bit of stress inside that would also acted
correct.
on the body. Now he may not be able to focus. And he may be thinking,
Correct.
he's still thinking
Correct.
about what happened in the previous two sets. He's thinking,
Correct.
oh, what
Correct.
a wonderful opportunity I missed. I should have grabbed it. What a wonderful chance it was. Two up
Correct.
against Djokovic, unbelievable. That just one set. Maybe he's still thinking about it. Maybe what happens is in the mood state, when your mood state goes down, when you suddenly lose that mood, become negative, so you will suddenly become a little worried or sad in the mind that, when you put your head down, if you're ruining those lost opportunities, suddenly it acts on your body also. That intensity comes down, and your to fight back also goes down. All that is a side effect, the effect of you're not able to be in the same mental state as you were before. And
Yeah,
now I just remember, as you reminded, the during the award ceremony, when Djokovic was asked to speak, he said, Stefanos, I know what you're going through, and we've all been through that stage. And but but what you learned today, being in this situation, will take you a long way. Long way. You're still young. You will go on to win more Grand Slams. Now, what he meant was, what he learned. This is not. It cannot be taught. It can't be taught. You can't learn from any book also. What he learned out of the experience, that will stand a long way with him.
yeah.
Now, the next time he goes there, he'll be thinking that, oh, I have been in this situation before. Next
Yeah.
time when he meets Joko, and when he's two games up, two sets up, he'll
He'll
be
win the third set.
maybe, no, I don't want that to repeat. I will be doing something different.
Because, yeah, correct. Yeah,
Everybody learns with experience.
yeah,
So
exactly.
experience is the best teacher, as all
Exactly.
great people have said. Uh,
Yeah.
yes. And talking about mental toughness, briefly, is a very big spoken term these days, and a lot of connotations given to that. But
Yeah.
thinking in a very simple way,
Yeah.
as a common man, what would you say is mental toughness?
Yeah.
Now, would you like to answer the question? What, according to you, is the mental toughness?
No, the mental toughness comes from playing in a different situation, different places. Yeah, same thing. Over 10 years, they have developed this. Yeah, playing under pressure. Yeah. So all these things makes them mentally very tough. The situations, more than you say, you have experience. I think this Tsitsipas is it is like a first step that he's going to experience this, and so it's the same thing when you play tiebreakers also.
Yes.
You have to have a lot of experience playing. You must have played a lot of uh, academy tiebreakers to come out and perform under pressure in a tournament, in a professional tournament.
Definitely.
So experience counts a lot, and then they wait, and then they really perform very well
Very.
under pressure. Yeah,
Now, when it comes to mental toughness, before we go on to define mental toughness in a scientific way, what is written in some books, psychology books. Okay. Now, let us we can understand mental toughness better while when you think of what is weakness, mental weakness. Let's say who would you call as a mentally weak player? A mentally weak player is who breaks down when there is a lot of pressure, when his ability comes down and the opponent is too strong, when he gives up easily. One the definition of mental toughness is a mentally tough guy is one who doesn't give up easily. If you give up easily, that means you're not mentally strong. That
yeah,
is one very good quality. You should not give up. You should be
mm,
able to come back. Not give up and be resilient enough to come back. Even if you're lost, love two down, you should be able to forget all those
yeah,
no, all those points where you were leading or small things that went slipped from your hands. Forget all that, and you will be able to come back. When you are able to come back, then that means you're mentally tougher. And from
yeah,
the scientific point of view, what they say, if you say that I want to be mentally tough, simply saying I want to be mentally tough will not be useful. Meaning, when is the time when you give up? When you give up is when the pressure is too high, when the challenge is too high, when the opponent is too good for you, and when you're having very big unrealistic expectations, unrealistic expectations which you
mm,
cannot fulfill, then suddenly you feel that you're against the wall and challenge is too high, the opponent is leading, then you
mm,
feel like giving up. What
yeah,
these guys have learned is their mantra now is not to focus on the result. Whatever has happened, they believe that I can still come back into the game. That's what Joko did yesterday. From love
yeah,
to there, love to down, we thought the match was over. It has happened
yeah,
so many times. From love
yeah,
to down, they will make it 2-all. They'll only be thinking about the 2-all and
yeah,
not the love three. And they
yeah,
say, I can
exactly.
still make it. I have the game to go be make it to love 2-all.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
he did. So now the great
yeah,
people
correct.
believe
Yeah,
in what is possible.
yeah,
Winners think of what they want. Losers
yeah,
think of what they don't want to happen to them. So
yeah,
only they are thinking about the negative. Winners think was what about what they want. So they think about the possibilities, not on the shortcomings. So
correct, correct.
that's what the mentally tough people think about. They
They
don't
they
give
are
up.
in the
You see,
they are in the moment. Yeah,
when you focus on the result, you become mentally weak. When you don't focus on the result, say that even if I lose this match, I will give a tough fight. I will not let go easily. I will stick on to every ball. I'll give the best possible reply. Give best possible
yeah,
return. I will fight. I will
yeah,
not allow that guy to take it easily from me. I will just hang
correct.
on. Let's see what happens. That's what the
Yeah,
Federer has said. He
yeah,
says so many times when the match is just halfway through, he says, I don't know what is going to happen. I never give up in any situation, he says.
yeah,
I fight till the end. That is mental toughness in simple terms.
yeah,
Thank
correct.
you, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And uh, like in my academy also, I
Yes.
have sent like 5, 6 kids,
Okay.
my student to you, and
Hmm.
yeah, and ever since they come to you and they have come back, and really I can see the difference in them.
Oh,
You know, I see a difference. I can only see the difference in, like, in coaching, like physical thing, but
okay.
after your session, really they could see the difference, and they're looking forward now
Thank
to
you.
play and to compete and to
Thank you. That is what I make them I
on
help them
form, you know.
change
I
their
think that's very
mindset.
good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Mindset to a winner's mindset and a positive mindset. I help them not to think more about the result, focus on the process, play well, play
Yeah.
each ball well, don't think too far ahead.
Yeah.
Just focus on the next ball, give it a,
Yeah.
a proper reply.
Yeah.
Then the more you is the result that is the big problem. That is
Yeah.
what causes the fear of failure.
Mm.
Always thinking
Mm.
about the result. Instead, they should think about the process. If the process comes out well, if the performance comes out well, the result will also come in your favor. The result
Mm.
will fall at your feet, the people say. When you have done well, naturally the result will be yours. So always focus on the process. Don't think too far ahead. Be in the present. Just
Mm.
think of one ball at a time. Give it the best
Yeah.
possible reply. Keep your head empty, Don't have too
Yeah.
many thoughts. Don't overthink. Don't
Yeah.
overthink about what has happened in the previous point. Previous ball is gone. So you
Yeah.
can't bring it back in your life. So
Yeah.
focus on the next ball.
Yeah.
Let go of what has happened. That if you it's not easy in the beginning because every young player wants to win. And
Yeah.
that's what they have been taught as from the younger days. It
Mm.
is good to win and bad to lose. It's
Mm.
good to be a winner. So they always want to win. It's they have learned that from a very 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 small age. Now they always believe that I have to win. It's bad to lose. So that it has to go out from the head. So unless they make mistakes, unless they lose, they are no way they are going to improve. This is what I tell them about. They say slowly you have to bring a change. It's not a shame to lose. When you are young, you need to lose. That's what will make you more tougher, better player as you go along. That's when
Mm.
you learn.
Mm.
So these are some
Mm.
of the simple things I tell them. I'm
Yeah.
happy that I just
Good. Mm.
helped you. Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Yes, sir. I have one or a small question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Now, yeah, I wanted to mention about this thing. Uh, when you look at Novak Djokovic, after he had lost the second set, he was a slightly ruffled, but he didn't show too much. But he didn't create a big scene. And then he went back on the court. Always believed that he has a tremendous self belief, and because he has already proved, there's nothing much he needs to prove. He's already proved himself, and all that his records, his confidence, his self belief, is that I can come back. Thought, and about him is he doesn't show. He's very cool, calm, and composed. So that is one of the highlights of all these great players. But when you look at Roger Federer, according to me, there is no better example for emotional intelligence in sports than Roger Federer. The other person I can think of is Mohinder Singh Dhoni. In any situation, they don't show their emotions. They are so much in control of their emotions. Now Djokovic has come to that level. He doesn't show off his emotions. He's very calm, composed, and that's what takes them there. The sport is all about emotions, handling your emotions. The moment you're under fear, you fear of that what may happen, the moment you become nervous, anxious, then it's going to work on your body also. The smoothness in execution goes, and definitely you'll be thinking a lot. So focus will go automatically, confidence will come down, and a whole lot of things happens. The stress response, which will bring down your game, ultimately you will lose. So it's all about controlling your emotions. That's what competitive sports is all about. This is what they have conquered, and the kind of things they do extra. Now, we smart makes them extraordinary. So when you do those extra things, that is one of the things is your mental training. All these people have become a lot more spiritual in their way of thinking. They do a lot of meditation, and the way of thinking has definitely changed. Now, younger players, they spend a lot of money. It needs to you need to spend so much money, traveling all around the world in the circuit. Understandable that they have to keep winning and keep making money, and but at some stage, these players understood that it's not that if you chase money and fame and everything, um, this is not going to work for you. You cannot maintain the same consistency. You can't be thinking about those. Those are all byproducts of your work ethics, what your work ethics, the kind of performance you produce. And for that, they know how well they have to train themselves mentally, how to be calm, not to be unruffled, and just go on with the business, and things will happen. That's what Federer keeps telling all the time. I am not overawed by the situation. I always believe that I can come back, I can make it in my favor. He tries to be calm. When you are calm, your mind works. When you're worked up, when you're stressed, automatically it's like a traffic jam. Your mind doesn't work properly. You can't think properly. So many times overthinking leads to choking, where you don't know what is happening at all. And this will also definitely, psych will lead to the soma. Then the body will also tense up. Your heartbeat increases, your breathing increases. When heartbeat increases, you will lose patience. The first indicator of losing patience is your heartbeat. It goes up suddenly. Then when you're not patient, you're not patient enough to wait for the right ball to finish. You simply rush and then try to finish it, and for the wrong ball, and definitely you will not get your point. So it's about keeping that the real estate between the 2 years, what we call, that is, it is keeping your head in place, always making being aware of what is happening in your mind. That is the core to the performance.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, where is tennis heading from here on? With Roger already at the sunset of his career, and Rafa is 35, Joko is 34. Where is the sport heading? But from what I could see from when you were all playing in the 80s and the 90s, maybe the early 2000s, at least there were 10 people, 10 players pushing the top three from below, giving them nightmares. Anybody could reach the top four and the finals, whatever. But that's not happening of late. You only see about 3 or 4 players repeatedly come to the top four, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I know these upcoming players, they're even like, for example, your stroke production has to be so perfect. Novak can show this side and hit that side. Those are all very good tricks. Whereas Tsitsipas, he kind of forecast his stroking. We know he's going down the line. He's going cross court. Same thing. And also, your stroke production has to be at least to the minimum of 14, 15 effective stroking. If you're not able to do that, you cannot beat these 3 guys. These guys going to be there next 10 years also. Yeah. So you could make out even Alex also. He is not able to rally more than effective rally more than 4 or 5. So that's where I think these guys are tough. Novak is very, very tough in rallying. When you go to the rally, he's out there to stay on the court. He will hit one extra ball. So that's what it is. You guys have to come up with a better plan to beat these guys. Yeah.
So what do they need to do to keep that kind of ball control? We were amazed to see that every ball was landing inside the court, as though the ball was meant to be inside the court. It will not go out. Every ball was inside the court, and that too deep. Baselines, sidelines. Every ball was so deep, corners. And what do they need to do? How do they develop? This kind of ball control. What do you teach them?
Yeah, that's exactly it. What you said, the ball control. You have to have a better ball control than them, and you have to sustain. Then only you will beat these 3 guys.
How will they develop that ball control? How to learn?
Yeah, it's a practice. It's a practice. You have to do it. Yeah. And I think these upcoming youngsters are not spent. They're extremely talented. There is no doubt. I don't think they're on the court practicing all their shots and getting mentally tough, I think. Yeah. Whereas if you see Joe Novak and all, they're very careful in eating, drinking. They go to bed early and stuff. These upcoming players, I don't think they are very religious about their ritual.
About the discipline part and the self.
Yeah, discipline. Yeah.
Discipline. Yes. And definitely work is important. The more you play, the better you become. So what happens when
Exactly.
you do hard work? We say that when you do hard work,
Exactly.
definitely with hard work, you'll always get better and better. But what
Exactly.
happens in the brain also with hard work, your neuronal network becomes facilitated, what we call. So there is a lot of change in the white matter. There's a myelin sheathing happens. There's a very technical scientific explanation. But when you practice more and more the same thing, you get better at it all the time. So, as is a known fact, it's an open secret, as broad as daylight. So the more you play, the better you get at it. So it's a theory of repetition. They keep repeating the same thing again and again and again. They don't give up that easily. They work so much. Even Ronaldo has said in an interview, he's the first one to be there, and every day they kind of sacrifice the amount of practice they do. That's what
Yeah.
takes them.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think because the tournament are so tightly scheduled, they have to play every week, and that's where I think that's where they go. Sometimes they even get injured. They should give breaks. They should take rest. They should practice nicely on the week, on your problems, on your weaknesses. You got to practice. You got to hit so many balls. You got to have that coach and then practice those. You can see, some of the rallies, Tsitsipas hit a miss hit. It was a miss hit. How can a professional player miss hit like that? So that shows lack of practice. And
And definitely the pressure also, the kind of pressure the opponent creates, because of pressure also he can miss it.
exactly, yeah, yeah. When you're playing these three guys, it's not easy for you. You have to come with a better stroking, yeah, better stroke production, yeah, and that's where
So
they are. Yeah,
there's no shortcut as
there is no shortcut. Yeah, yeah.
you work. Is only in the dictionary they say no, the S comes before W. Success comes before work. It's only in that's what they say. Only in life, no, work should come first, then the success.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about hard work, work,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then there was a very wonderful quote from Sam Snead, the golfer, who said,
yeah,
"Whenever I worked hard, I was lucky." So when you work hard,
yeah,
automatically luck favors you.
yeah,
How it happens, we don't know.
yeah,
Yesterday
correct.
we saw that the
Yeah,
top shots fell on the edge of the net and just fell on the other
yeah,
side. Nobody can return. So these things happen for you because
yeah,
you're
correct.
putting all the hard
Very,
work,
you're
sacrifice,
right.
hard yards, and
You're right.
definitely luck favors you. Uh,
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Um,
Thank you, sir. Thank you for
thank
all
you.
your inputs.
Yeah,
It was
thank you,
wonderful
Shana.
speaking to you.
Yeah,
You shared your rich
thank you.
experience in this field of tennis.
Yeah,
You've
yeah,
been doing
thank
that
you, Shana.
in
Yeah,
the 70s and 80s. And
yeah,
I wish you produce more players from
yeah,
Mysore as well as from Karnataka. And
yeah,
you take tennis to even much higher
yeah,
straits. And
yeah.
thank you for coming on the show. I
Thank
think,
you. Yeah,
we've
yeah,
answered all the
yeah,
questions.
yeah,
So, with Wimbledon coming, we hope to see even greater,
yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah,
corner. And we still, what happened yesterday in the last 48 hours is still ringing in our uh, memory. Still so fresh, and we've treated to some wonderful tennis. So
yeah.
it's
That was a wonderful tennis.
and
Yeah,
one last question, it's all about the loneliness. Other day, somebody pointed out to me, tennis is a lonely game, and how much it affects them. They are not even allowed to talk to the coach. They travel alone, and unless they have a support team, it's such a lonely game, and they have to suffer themselves. They can't even talk to the coach even at the end of a game or end of a set. They can't even talk to their coach. That makes tennis even more a lonely game. And what do you say about the biobubble restrictions that has happened these days? Living within the biobubble restrictions is so hard. You just can't go out, practice, mingle with people, socialize. You can't do anything. And now, so many sports all over the world, they're not able to go out and practice, especially in countries where the COVID is on the rise, where there are too many cases of COVID positive. And it's really hard on the athletes. Um, they're all going through a tough time. let's hope the pandemic gets over as quickly as possible, and
Yeah.
hope sport come back to its
Yeah.
original glory.
Yeah.
Glory.
Correct.
And Olympics is also around the corner.
Around the corner. Yeah.
Very
Looking
shortly.
forward.
So
Yeah.
we're in for a great treat,
Yeah.
unless the COVID-19 virus doesn't cause too much of a havoc. So we're in for a great treat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. Raghuveer, for being
Thank
there.
you, Vishwanath.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.